Hi there, this is Mike Graham of Weight Loss and Personal Development, bringing you another video on the subject of weight loss and personal development. And today I wanted to talk about taking risks, chances, games of chance, and ask you, do you like betting on things? I've been watching this game on television recently about a game of chance. The contestant answers questions, general knowledge questions, or questions on specific subjects which are portrayed down the side of the screen. And he has to decide on the level of difficulty of the question. Does he want to play for 2 counters to put into the machine, or does he want to play for 3? I guess he could probably play for 1, but nobody ever chooses the 1 option. And generally they opt for 3. They take that much of a chance. And the point of the game is, when you answer all your questions correctly, you have counters to put into the machine. Well, each category you get 3 counters, so category by category you get the 3 counters or whatever to put into the machine. You put it into a slot, you having nominated the part of the screen you want to go down, and a counter drops down this whatever it is. It's sort of an obstacle course really for counters. It's it's just a way it goes down, so you can't exactly judge where the counter's going to go, and it lands on a metal shelf. All the while the shelves, because there are 2 of them, are being moved back and forth next to the place where the counter lands, which means that the counter gets moved away from the place where it landed, pushed towards the edge of the shelf. But there are other counters in front of it, so as it moves forward, the movement of the machine means that the counter that's just landed on that particular shelf pushes other counters towards the edge of the first shelf onto the second shelf, and the counters on the second shelf get pushed towards the third shelf, and so on. So once a few counters land on the second shelf from the first shelf, they push the counters in front of them on the second shelf towards the third shelf, and you score £50 per counter you knock onto the bottom shelf. That gets pushed onto it by the action of the machine. But there is a special counter which is worth £10,000, which gets dropped into the machine at a critical point in the game. And so it lands on the first shelf. And a lot of people think the object of the game is to get this counter onto the bottom shelf. And basically that is the object of the game. But there are other ways of winning, because obviously getting £10,000 off 1 counter is a great bonus. But there are so many counters on the board that you could get it. I mean, the counters in the machine, that you could actually get that much money just about by getting 200 counters onto the bottom shelf. A long shot maybe, but the chances of actually getting the £1,000 counter onto the bottom shelf are maybe 10%, 20% at the most. I haven't seen it happen very often, but then again I haven't watched that often. Whereas collecting £50 per counter you get onto the bottom shelf does actually yield a certain amount of money, albeit much more slowly. So anyway, most contestants try and get this jackpot counter onto the bottom shelf and completely ignore the other route to make money until it's almost too late. But they do have at the end of the game, they know that they can take home the money that they've already got, or they can try 3 more attempts to move the jackpot counter to the bottom shelf. And that's really what the game of chance is. Now, I watch this program because it has a certain degree of fascination. Will they do it, won't they? Will they pull out, or will they concentrate on just trying to build up some other money so that they don't go home missing out by very much? If you can get to say 7,000 or 8,000, then you've done okay. You're not going for the full 10. But if you're just left with £2,000 in the counter's value, then you're obviously going to miss out by quite a long way. Now, most people do try and get the jackpot one. So they try and they try and they try and they use up all their counters on trying to move the jackpot counter. Well, there are so many other counters that are waiting to be moved. But that's human nature to go for the big one. And, it's always fascinating to watch this process, and I've found myself drawn to it for some reason. I shouldn't be, but I am. It's just a diversion, I suppose. But, it has an element of excitement to it that is the essence of all betting, I suppose. A game of chance. A lot of people love a flutter. And they hope that the whole field is going to be free, that there's no interference, because they only want to bet on things that they know they have a reasonable chance of winning. Now, obviously, the trouble with sports and betting is that there have been these scandals where these things get fixed, which stops betting being a level playing field. However, people do go to prison for this sort of thing, so that it is a risk and reward situation. But most people like taking little bets on things and have done since time immemorial. And I think the reason is this. We like predictable lives. Obviously, we don't want to live with constant uncertainty. Life in a prisoner of war camp is fairly uncertain, particularly certain ones that happened 75 years ago. But most people would like to live in a house with a steady job, with a steady relationship, probably children, and have some friends who are also steady friends. They don't like the up and down of things being difficult at the base level. But within that predictability, most people like a little bit of unpredictability. They like to have things less certain. And life is like that anyway. The sun will rise tomorrow, but we don't really know what the weather's going to do. Or we do if we watch the weather forecast. So, we want our relationships there, but we don't always want to have the same conversation. We don't always want to do the same things. We don't always want to go to the same places. And with our jobs, we hope that there's a bit of variety with them. And it's very depressing if there isn't. And, we hope our friends are interesting and have good conversation and like doing amusing things. But we don't want to do the same things the whole time. And we get bored if we're doing things that are too predictable. Now, you'd think that was how it was for everybody, or for most people. In fact, it isn't, because if you look around, you'll see that quite a lot of people are taking massive risks with their lives, with their bodies, with their futures, with the futures of the people they love, just simply because a lot of people are drastically overweight and carrying around a lot of surplus fat. And the problem with being overweight is that it can cause disease. Things like heart attacks, very high blood pressure, and lead to depression and affect relationships. And that's a fact. You could leave your dear ones without a father and a spouse, and your friends without a mate, just because you don't take good enough care of your weight. And one's body, it'll only work for you properly if you take care of it. It's a very, very sensitive instrument. Although it takes a certain amount, particularly when you're young, as you get older, the stakes become higher. So if you're middle-aged and over, then if you're overweight by a certain amount, then your risks are increased quite severely. Now, this seems like a game of chance, really, to me. It's not keeping things certain. You don't know when there's going to be a problem, and who knows, your blood pressure could just suddenly rise because things aren't going very well and you lose your temper or something, or you feel under a lot of strain. And it doesn't have to be like this. You know, you can eat healthily, you can lose weight, you can find a way of losing weight that works, and do these things so that it works in a safe and sane way. You don't have to take risks like that. You don't have to take a load of pills. You know, you just use food, eat less calories, follow a food plan, but make sure it's good food that you eat. And you can solve a lot of those problems that you've been having by just getting down to a weight that's within your body mass index limits. Or just, you know, get down to a decent goal weight, have a decent body, get fit again, and hey presto, you're ready to go for another X number of years, you know, for more years, you know. And another risk that there is from weight loss, because I forgot this earlier, is an increased risk of cancer. Because a lot of people who get cancer have had weight problems that have escalated over time. So I think it's important that people know that they are taking a lot of risks when they do things like stay overweight and not take up the chance to lose that weight. And okay, it gets harder to lose weight as you get to middle age, but you know, just go and look at yourself in the mirror, and if you're misshapen and the bulge is going over your trousers or your waistline, then you know, you need to take steps. You know, just imagine if you have to suddenly move fast, go and run for a bus or go up the stairs, too many flights of stairs. You could have a heart attack then. And I hate to be, you know, a messenger of doom, but, you know, that's a fact. It does happen on an everyday level. But if you take serious steps to deal with your weight problem now, then you can minimise that risk and lose the weight you've got on over a number of months. And it's not that drastic to do. What will you miss if you're actually going to get your health back? Cream buns, pints of beer, your favourite roast dinner? Well, you know, forget it. I mean, surely your own health and well-being has to be a higher priority. Anyway, I'm advertising a weight loss system here, and there's a PDF about tips that you can use to actually make your weight loss journey easier, and there are 9 tips I give in there to help you on your way. And you can get a PDF by going to the link I put in there below. And you know, if you have any problems with weight, please take me up on my advice and take the chance to do that. And you know, you may actually end up being glad you did so. Thank you for listening, and I hope to catch you on another video. This has been Mike Ram with Weight Loss and Personal Development. Bye for now.